I'm still waiting on a volume of this manga to just not be utterly great. This is crazy how good this just continues to be. And this is just utterly surprising, this volume. I don't mean surprising in the quality of the content. I mean, we're not really surprised that it's great. Well, I mean just in the content itself, in the things that happened in this volume, just continuously took me by surprise. I wasn't ready for any of it. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's back up. Welcome back to Vagabond, everybody. It's been a little while since we've been together on this particular journey here. All with the end of the year and the beginning of the year and all of the fun little videos that I have to make for that. I guess I don't have to make them, but I really do enjoy making them, so I do. Anyway, back to what was I saying? Back to Vagabond. Getting started here, we pick up right where we left off with Kojiro being left behind, or left all alone, by his mentor. And I know that this is where we left off, and this is where it should essentially be picking back up. But this is just nuts to me that we're just going to go right back to living with Kojiro for a while. Like, spoiler alert, we settle into his story for like another 2 entire volumes, which is just nuts. I mean, I haven't done the math, actually. I should probably go back and look to see just how many volumes we have just been settled into Kojiro, like he's just now the main character of the manga or something. It's wild. And don't think that I'm complaining, because Kojiro is awesome and everything about him and his story, and I just love living here in his story. I'm not even that actually, I will say that I was starting to get a little bit like, where is this going and where's Musashi? I'm starting to be sad now because we haven't gotten back to him. But for the most part, no, I'm really happy to just live with Kojiro for a while. A very, 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 very long while. But yes. Anyway, like I said, Kojiro's left behind by his little mentor guy, whatever the hell his name was. And he's basically left alone to fend for himself and to survive wave after wave of these soldiers that are left over from the battle. Not necessarily even trained men. And essentially we find out that he leaves them here to test him and really push him over the edge of understanding what true survival is, true fear is, and the true ability to fight or something. And when he returns, he will no longer be essentially beneath him or a student to him. He will now be his equal. And he seems like he's doing this and setting this up not to better Kojiro, but actually so that he can eventually fight him, because he's creating somebody worthy of fighting, which is not what I would have expected. I knew he was tough. I knew he was a bastard, but I didn't know that's where he was going with this. And at the end of the day, that's not being a very good teacher, sir. Anyway, at one point, we do step away from Kojiro for just a little bit in order to live with this little group of soldiers from the battle that's left over and get to know them just well enough that when they cross paths with Kojiro, we now have a sense of connection to them and him, and it makes the interaction and the ultimate fights that have to go down between them and him a little bit more interesting and a little bit more engaging. And then when they do cross paths with Kojiro, boy, what a scene it is. It's awesome. When the group comes across Kojiro, he's like spent. He's exhausted, he's hungry, he can barely stay awake, and the old man of the group sends the rest of the group on, and he's going to stay behind and fight Kojiro because he is the oldest and essentially the only one of the group who's really, truly trained. And then him and Kojiro are going to fight, and it's wonderful. It is a sight to behold. He even at one point in the fight disarms Kojiro to the point where he like picks up a dagger and hides it in his sleeve and then literally charges forward, risking losing his entire arm just to get a killing blow on the old man. It's really good. Now the group not being able to just leave and leave the old man behind, ends up coming back. And now they're going to have to face off against Kojiro one at a time in single combat. And of course, Kojiro is going to take all of them out relatively easily, all the way up until the very last one, who is also the strongest and most well-trained out of the entire group. It's like I have no idea how you say that. And this particular fight between these two guys, out of the first 2 volumes of this book, which were the volumes that focused entirely on Kojiro, this was by far the highlight of the 2 volumes. This was great. It was like 2 swordsmen of similar age, similar intensity, similar skill level, similar training, and they're going to go toe-to-toe. And it was about the point where Kojiro does a move and then immediately repeats it, like Shadow repeats the move, to make sure it cements in his mind, because he just came up with something new or realized a new technique that he's never used before. And the other guy realizes what he's doing, and just the look of sheer joy on Kojiro's face as things come to him, as he realizes how new ways of doing things, new ways of fighting, and the other guy's excitement at his realization and realizing that they share this passion, they share this ability to fight and learn and grow and enjoy and engage with that process in the throes of a death battle. Really, it was really, oh my God. And then the volume's going to end with a shot of the old man that raised Kojiro, and he's thinking, I wonder if Kojiro's made any friends. And then it cuts to a shot of Kojiro standing over Koun's, or however you say that, his dead body, which in itself, the panel looks grim, but having come directly after the thought of, I wonder if Kojiro's found any friends, and you realize that he did. As grim as the panel is, these two came as close to being true, genuine friends as probably Kojiro's ever had in his entire life, because they shared, for a brief moment, a kinship, almost like they shared a very similar spirit and a very similar energy, and they enjoyed the process of doing what they were doing, the process of fighting and learning. They knew one of them was going to come out the other end of this not standing on their feet, so it really was like, you know what, that's probably the closest thing to a true friend Kojiro's ever had. And it wasn't a negative thing, as grim, as terrible as this might look. It's interesting. It's the kind of things like that where you just kind of have to stop and look at it and think for a minute. And these are the kinds of thoughts and thought experiments that you end up having after reading some of these chapters in Vagabond. What is kinship and connection, and can you kill somebody and truly share a moment in time with them as you do so? And what was the connection that they have? How closely connected were they for those few moments that they came together? Is that how you would say that? Anyway, I loved it. I thought it was great. Now, as quickly as we left Musashi behind in order to go follow Kojiro for 110 volumes, Musashi's back, and we're in Kyoto. Is it Kyoto? Let me look at my notes here. Did I write it? Yeah, it's Kyoto. At least that's what's in the notes. And we're in Kyoto. What was I saying? And we're in Kyoto, and it's snowing. And now all of a sudden, we're literally at the showdown between Densichiro and Musashi. Like, how did we even get here? What is even going on right now? Like, not only are we back with Musashi, but we've jumped forward, apparently. At least it feels like it, to the duel. And then a page later, it just appears that Densichiro's dead. I was just like, what? What? This is the kind of shit that I was talking about at the beginning of the video when I said that this volume was full of surprises. And if you think this is the last one, oh, no. There's more. Because the next thing you know, you turn the page and it's previously, 10 days ago. And you're like, thank you. I needed this because I kind of would like to know how we got to here. And when we do flashback 10 days, other than seeing the sign being posted announcing the fight that's going to go down between Densetsuro and Musashi, essentially the flashback opens on Marahachi. And Marahachi feels alone and empty inside. So you mean to tell me that living your entire life as a lie and using a dead man's name and reputation in order to get by in life, faking every interaction that you'll ever have, and then feeding your emptiness with sex is not a fulfilling lifestyle? Is that what you're telling me? Although, all kidding and joking aside, I really do like that we constantly kind of come back to Marahachi and touch base with him and see where he's at and what he's doing and how he's getting along. Because even though he consistently makes the worst decisions and everything he does every decision he makes is the wrong decision, at no point does he really ever feel like a cartoon character. He always feels like a very real person making very real mistakes. The kind of mistakes you could see somebody making in his situation for real. Like, he has to make hard decisions. They're the wrong decisions, but you can see where he makes them and why and how he goes down the wrong road. It's a nice contrast to Musashi and Kojiro. We get to see a bunch of different people and a bunch of different perspectives and how they're handling and navigating this life back in this time period and just navigating the world in general and what is expected of them, or even what they think is expected of them. Anyway, at the end of the day, he decides that he's miserable and he just wants to go see somebody, anybody that knows him for who he really is, Marahachi, and not as Kojiro. Meanwhile, Musashi and Densetsuro are going to both start preparing for their battle together. Densetsuro by practicing fighting with all of the members of the Yoshioka school, and Musashi by carving some wood, although he's distracted or something because I think he's supposed to be whittling a Buddha and it comes out as a demon. At least I think, unless he did the demon on purpose, I don't know. But anyway, after that, he's going to go out into the wilderness and he's going to go out to meditate when suddenly he is attacked, sneak attack, by Seijuro. You sneaky little son of a bitch. This is another one that I did not see coming. Like, he just wanders through the world so lackadaisy and so like, oh, he just doesn't care about anything. And then he's going to come up to you and he talks so much shit to everybody. He talks shit to Musashi. He talks shit to Densetsuro. And then he's going to sneak attack you and try and stab you in the back in the middle of the night. Really? How interesting. What a revelation for his character. For me, I don't know why I didn't see his character doing something like that. It makes sense, but it caught me off guard big time. This then is going to be intercut with Densetsuro fighting all of the other students at the Yoshioka school, and that gets wild. He ends up clipping one of the guy's arms to the point where it's basically useless and it kind of hangs there. And then these people have some like cult-like loyalty and dedication to him and his training to the point where the guy basically begs him to cut his arm off, as almost like in sacrifice to the betterment of Densetsuro so that he can go off and fight Musashi. I was just like, these people are nuts. Like, it gets really out of hand at that school. Flashback to Musashi and Seijuro. Seijuro's fighting Musashi and is surprised at just how good Musashi has gotten over the past year after he talked trash to him. And he does this just long enough to be killed by Musashi. Or at least I think he's killed by Musashi, because the last page of the entire book is this. So if he's not dead, he's very badly hurt, but I'm pretty sure he's dead. So you mean to tell me in the last volume of this book, the first few pages starts with Densetsuro maybe dying, and the last few pages end with Seijuro maybe dying, and Musashi is now about to go and wage a war against the entire Yoshioka clan. What is even going on here? It is complete madness. We've erupted into just chaos, and I love it. It is just complete madness. And now here we are at a point in Musashi's life where it is he's kind of coming into his own and really starting to take out some people of his own accord. He's got the echoes of some of the older masters in his head, and we now have an entire arc backstory of Kojiro, and we followed him as he comes up into his own. Essentially, we peak both of those in the same book pretty much, and now essentially I would assume that we're going to start to weave in and out of both of them as we go, and kind of follow one, then the other, and maybe leapfrog our way to the end of these books. But, you know, after this one, I don't really want to assume anything, because this is keeping me firmly on my toes, like really. And once again, it's just going to follow. I'm going to keep just letting these sit on a 9. As far as I'm concerned, they could possibly eventually end up higher. I don't know, but they're easily just going to sit right here on this 9, and I'm loving every single second of reading these books. As always, everybody, the link for my Patreon's in the description below. The link for my Discord's in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.